Hi, my name's Ian. Today I'm going to talk about belt buckles. Combat belts are quite popular, and also a popular choice for a combat belt are these Cobra buckles. Now, with that rise in popularity and the usage of these buckles comes a lot of knockoffs. So we're going to see if a knockoff is just as good as the real thing. So here we have the two side by side. Up top we have an actual Austria Alpine buckle, and this one is a set from Amazon that included the buckle and the belt itself for $15. Now you can see they both have nylon attached to them. However, the difference between these two is I had this belt made, and I actually found this buckle from a Max Pro. So this is a unmarked, except for one tiny little marking, early production Cobra buckle, and this one is some form of Chinese knockoff. You can see that the genuine one actually has two different diagrams for weight tests with the kilonewtons, and on this one it has the same symbols, but there are no symbols indicating what they're rated for, because this one is not rated. You can also see that these wings are a little bit darkened and these ones are not. These are still made out of brass, but these have a finish to them. Meanwhile, these are unfinished, and these are cast while these are milled. So this buckle is CNC milled, while this one is a cast piece along with cast little wings, and these are riveted in place. These are riveted in place as well, however these rivets are much more substantial pieces of metal. One very main difference on these two buckles is that spring pressure on this one is much weaker than the genuine one. So there's very little pressure needed to actually activate these two little wings. These ones, while it's still very easy to do by hand, it still requires a significant more amount of force, and these springs are actively fighting against my fingers whenever I'm actually using them. Here we have the male ends with the genuine one on the left and the fake on the right. You can see on the genuine one, the male end is slightly skinnier, but its actual nubs are quite meatier. Meanwhile, these ones are much thinner at the end. And if you turn them sideways, you can see that the genuine one is thicker, and this one has substantially less metal. Now that might not seem like a big difference at first. This will come into play later when force is actually exerted on these two belts. So with the genuine on the left and the fake one on the right, you can see that the actual locking wings are much larger on the actual Alpine one, and they also close in much deeper, so there's a lot more pressure being exerted whenever the male end is actually in. Meanwhile, in these ones, these do not have a lot of metal, and they do not actually travel outward very far. So whenever this is locked in, these are not actively pushing in further on the actual male end. So now I'm going to exert some force on my actual Cobra buckle, and you can see that it's locked, and if I get one, it's not going to pop, and if I move it around, it's going to relock. But if I have pressure, and I click on that one, and I click on this, it's going to pop. Now this being an older buckle, this is an issue with these older buckles, and the newer ones actually have smaller wings to reduce the chance of this happening. So with mine, if one fails and there's still pressure, and the other one fails, the buckle itself is still going to fail, which is why you don't want to use these for fall protection, because you can die if that happens. However, with these cheapo ones, it's even worse. So if you were to apply pressure and you just knock one of these wings, it's going to be able to rotate out around, and it's going to just take itself out. So if I was to apply pressure and trigger a wing, it can relock. However, it's more likely that it's just going to unlock if there is any weight on either side. So now, why is something like that important? Well, if you're going around doing missions and stuff like I am, going around through the woods and doing a lot of things at night, then having a buckle that can come out just spontaneously is not a very good thing to have, especially when you have medical equipment, compass. On the side I have night vision goggles. Like, there's a lot of stuff I can lose, and if it's nighttime, I don't want to be looking around for this belt. I want to be able to have it on my body and not unintentionally activate the wings. So with this belt, if I'm wearing armor or I have a bunch of clothes bundled up in it, there's much less likely chance of my body actually snagging these wings and opening up this buckle. And if it does happen, there's a much higher chance that's going to fix itself than come off my body. But these cheaper belts, which have just as much equipment on them, they just cost less. You can be running around and you can get caught in something trying to go over an obstacle, and you can lose your belt a lot easier than if it was an actual Cobra buckle. So, intentional or unintentional, these cheapo ones are going to be much more likely to fail on you when you don't want them to fail. So, is it going to fail a lot of the times? No. These cheapo buckles seem like they're rather okayly made, and they work for the most part. But if you're going to be using them for something super serious, you probably don't want to use them. If they're just keep your pants up, use them all day long. Who gives a fuck? It's, you know, I don't know why you want to use this for your pants, but if you're going to be using it for your Batman belt, I don't recommend it. Now, it's not all bad. So, these buckles, I have a certain purpose for them, which is why I need the actual one. But if you're just doing a costume, or you're doing just stuff for fashion, or maybe you're just making like a light utility type thing, this isn't a bad choice. Again, this only costs $15. Meanwhile, this belt down here, buckle plus all this nylon, I'm somewhere in about $120 range. So $15 for both a buckle and some nylon, or, you know, 100 and whatever the fuck for these two, that's a substantial difference. So depending on what your purpose is, maybe you want to go with this cheap Chinese knockoff. It looks the same, it looks cool. You look like G.I. Joe or Edward Scissorhands. Do whatever the fuck you want. Your choice.